Hello, it me. I'm here with a little Elite Dangerous video. Yes, I've previously only covered Star Citizen and the like. And by the like, I mean Star Citizen. Elite was probably, I don't know, I probably have a few more hours in Elite than I do Star Citizen at this point. And I'm not quitting Star Citizen by any means, but I thought I would take a little journey to Beagle Point in my Diamondback Explorer because I've never done it before, and I figured why not just record it and see how it goes. And so here I am, starting off from my engineered Diamondback. I pretty much only engineered the FSD and just bare bones everything else for an Explorer kit. I think my jump range is just under 70 light years, like 65 or 70, something like that. So that's the point right there. That little nebula is usually my halfway point to Colonia, and then I'll make a pit stop in Colonia and hang out and see if I still really want to do this. Last time I went to Colonia was in an unengineered Dolphin with jump range probably only 20 now, and so now with over triple that, it's probably going to be a little bit smoother ride. And but yeah, with what do they call it, Distant Horizons, Distant Worlds Expedition, and I don't know, I just reached kind of a, there are rumors only so far of a wipe in Star Citizen. There kind of always are, but I don't know, I haven't been feeling the call to Star Citizen for a little bit, you know. It's just been too, I don't know, I just rotate through games. I don't want to say anything bad about Star Citizen, even though I probably could. I mean, it's not hard. But yeah, this is just returning to an old favorite, timeless favorite. Last I played was around this time last year, when the colonization, we had just won the Thargoid War, and that was huge. I was actually on vacation the day that the Thargoids finally surrendered. That we beat the last mothership, whatever they call it. And I remember seeing the announcement and the little video that they played, the Thargoid message that the last mothership sent out, and I was really excited about it. And then I probably put in like 80 hours over over a couple or 3 weeks building a starship, a station in the colonization update with my friend, and just jumping steel and all of the little necessities back and forth with my Type 9 Heavy. But that was the last time I played, and then I kind of just, I don't know, I kind of burnt myself out, kind of had other things to do, and then I found Star Citizen and didn't really need to scratch the space sim itch anymore. But nonetheless, I hope to, the series, I was originally going to go with Beagle or Bust, but I figured that's kind of like a basic bitch title. So because the logo for the channel is my dog, Jack Russell Terrier, I figured Terrier to Beagle is cuter. So we're gonna try that. And yeah, I think it's kind of just like a badge of honor, like Colonia. You know, your first Colonia trip, it's kind of a badge of honor. It's not really, you know, with Elite you just do. There's not really a goal per se, but there's a lot of different ways that you can play the game. And I think Beagle Point is a logical next step for kind of explorer-based gameplay that I usually do in Elite. Not really looking for credits. I don't even know what I'd spend them on. Maybe the new Caspian ship, I think it's called. But you know, if I've already been taking this same ship out into the black and to Guardian sites and stuff like that for Guardian FSD boosts and things like that for some time, and so I kind of just do xenobiology on the way back, or you know, on a little detour. And I find that somewhat relaxing, but I figured Beagle Point is another notch in the belt, and I might as well get it over with. And so, relatively short video today. I think it's only like 45, 75, I can't even remember. See, I've been sitting on this gameplay, and it's minimal editing. It's kind of just me jumping. But I've been sitting on it for a while now, probably like 2 weeks now, just because I was trying to, I don't know, I hesitate to talk about this, but I talked to some friends about it. I talked to my therapist about it, just as using this as an outlet, and I still feel the desire to like make videos and record and do this video journal format, and I think I'm gonna try to start another D&D 2e video after I publish this one. But what I was saying is, there's just a lot of happening in the United States right now, and I don't want to go into specifics because it's hard to ignore, and it's hard to kind of just business as usual. But I kind of put myself in my hypothetical viewer's shoes if I'm doing this as a creative, positive outlook. And if a content creator that was like a comfort creator for me kind of just started spouting this and that about kind of not even off color, kind of just off tone for the vibe of the channel. And so if I want to maintain that vibe, I think it's best to just say, yeah, things suck, but I think the best thing that I can do, at least through this platform, is just maintain that positivity and that constant message of never-ending solidarity, friendship. We have more in common than we do differences, and just try and spread, just be a good person for the love of God, without going into specifics. Like, it's just we're living in a, it's very, very hard to live in any time. I think has its problems, and each generation says they have it better or worse than the other. Probably worse than, or better than before, worse than their kids and the next generation. But it's just, I don't see that being a good person or being the best person that you can be should be a contest. And I think that's kind of the message that I want to spread today. Is just like, however you choose to make your mark on the world, hopefully in a positive way, please in a positive way. It's the message I want to bring to you today is to not compare yourself to others. There are always others that are going to do more than you, that are able to do more than you, willing to do more than you, just happenstancely find themselves needing to do more than you. And there's always people that will be on the opposite side of that spectrum, where they just don't have the capacity for a multitude of reasons to do that positive thing. And I think wherein lies a lot of the problems that I'm seeing online today, and just in social media, and going to school and talking to people and talking to my friends and stuff, is it's like always this pissing contest about, like, look how good of a person I am. And it's like, and I don't want to get like too religious or anything, but I'm a cradle Catholic, so I grew up Catholic, and I always had, until recently, I always had this confusion over when the priest or whoever would say, you're not being a good person, or in that context, trying to get into heaven is not transactional. It's not like, hey, you should be a good person because this is what's in it for you. Like, I'm only being a good person because I want to reap the benefits. And obviously that helps, and I never understood that as a kid until I think think relatively recently, and I kind of just drew this connection as I was talking about it, but I think a better way of phrasing that is that, because I never understood what that meant. Like, what do you mean it's not transactional? Like, of course I want to get into heaven, or just be a good person or make a good impact or be remembered in a positive way, whatever you believe. But, why, what else, what, I don't want to be it's hard to articulate, but it's like, well, of course I want to be a good person. Of course I want that. And of course that's like the reward. So how is it bad to look forward to the reward? And I think that connects to kind of what I was talking about like the pissing contest. Is it's like, you, by thinking it's a competition and that you can that inherently kind of means that you can win or lose. And in so doing, there's like, a theory that there's a prize for being better than everyone else. And ultimately, I'm not going to, spout some horse shit about, being an okay person is better than or equal to being a really good person, because it's not. And there's always going to be people that are remembered unfairly or unjustly or disproportionately to others. But I just think that if we are really about being a good person and choosing to spread positivity in this world instead of all of the other things, it shouldn't matter really if other people, you shouldn't criticize people. I'm not going to say you shouldn't criticize people, but you know what I mean. I'm not trying to should you, but it's just, if you're so concerned about being a good person, then just be a good person. And worrying about other people doesn't really affect whether they're good or bad, relative to you, doesn't really affect your ability to be a good person. It might counteract some of the things that you're doing, but it doesn't affect your ability to make those choices. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. I don't think I've articulated it perfectly well or completely grasped the subject, but basically what I want to spread is just a message of, I think I've talked about it before, just don't compare yourself to others. Just give yourself grace and understanding, and give others grace and understanding when their requirements and their allotted, energies and times and commitments are different than yours, because that's part of being a good person inherently, is just being there for your fellow human being. And it's hard sometimes to not, at least for me, I think it's hard for me to not compare myself to others in, oh, well, I'm better than that person, or, oh, well, I'm worse than that person, and beat yourself up or pat yourself on the back. But ultimately, I try and remember that it's just, we're all just surviving, dude. Especially, in times like now where everything just seems so dire and weird. And you look and you just see so much negativity everywhere. And everywhere you turn, you just have to have a little bit of empathy and grace for yourself and for others. And you don't gain empathy by measuring dicks. And that's the TLDR. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed, and I'm very excited to see you at Beagle Point. Thank you for watching.